This is a pod. A pod about dogs. Healthy dogs. It's the Healthy Dog Pod.
Thank you to the sponsor of this season of the Healthy Dog Pod, Field Day. Field Day is an Australian-made and owned dog health and wellness brand that creates products to help your dog live the best and healthiest life, inside and out.
Field Day has a range of whole food meal toppers that target the top 4 health concerns for dogs: joints, digestion, anxiety, and skin. They're also really easy to use. You simply add them to the food that your dog already loves.
You can also look after your dog's skin and coat health with Field Day's brand new grooming range.
Field Day also donates 1% of all online profits to Pets of the Homeless. This is a charity that works to help keep vulnerable people and their pets together by alleviating the burden of providing essential pet care during times of hardship.
You can shop the Field Day range online now at fielddaypet.com.au and use the code HDP10 for 10% off site-wide. That's HDP10 for 10% off.
Now it's time to get to the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthy Dog Pod. It's Sophie and Ian as always. And today we have Yvonne from Pets of the Homeless. Hey.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
That's good. So do you just want to tell us what Pets of the Homeless is about?
Sure. Our mission is really simple. So Pets of the Homeless, what we do is we work to help vulnerable people who are either experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness keep their pet through difficult times. So we do this in a few ways. So we provide assistance with pet food, we help with veterinary care, we also help with emergency boarding and foster caring, and a whole host of other stuff. So we usually say anything that we are asked to help with, and if we could, we would.
Yeah, wow. And I would love to know a little bit more about, just start us off with a bit of your story. Like how did it start off? Like what made you what was the inspiration behind it?
There is a guy who is the inspiration. I always say that him and his dog. His name is Warren, and his dog is Jezza. So I used to live in the city of Melbourne. I don't know if you've been to Melbourne, not during COVID times, but previously we would see a lot of people on the streets, unfortunately, with their pets. Sorry, I just had a call comment. So we used to see a lot of people on the streets with their pets, and I would always, want to stop and talk to them. And one day I did. I saw a guy there, and then, I started to have a chat to him, and he told me about his life story and about his dog. And then I said, was there anything that you need? So I went away and bought him some food and bought his dog some food. And then basically that's how it started. And then, I would, one second. I'm so sorry, guys. There's people just messaging at the moment. This is the problem when you work all the time, and unfortunately things doesn't stop, although you're doing a podcast. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so that's how it started. So I would see Warren and Jezza kind of on a weekly basis on my walks, I guess. And they used to sit outside of my apartment where I live. So and then I moved away from the city, but I would still make the trek to the city every week to, keep in touch with them. And I guess, I wanted to do more from that. I thought, maybe there's something more that I can do than just having a chat to someone and buying food for them. And I'm sure there's more than one person. There's a lot of other people out there in the same situation. So I looked and researched into charities that are doing something similar. And just to see where I could help, because it wasn't my intention to actually start a charity. I wanted to volunteer for a charity. I couldn't find anything. So I thought, why not do something about it?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And and it's grown now. It's grown quite substantially. We got to see the warehouse earlier.
Yeah.
And how many people have you helped today? And when did this start? I can't remember if we've actually said that date yet.
No, sorry. So it was started in 2015, so about July 2015. So how it started was one day. So the idea of starting Pets of the Homeless actually came to me about 2 years before I actually started the charity, because as I said, it wasn't my intention to start a charity. I wanted to volunteer for one. And just the thought of actually starting something, it's quite scary, because when you start thinking about what you need to do, how much time and money and effort that goes into it, I sort of went, I don't know if I could do this. So for 2 years, I didn't really do anything. I was running an online business at the same time. And then one day I just thought, had enough with this. I want to do something more meaningful with my life. So it was literally one night I was sitting in my lounge room, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to start Pets of the Homeless. And what I did was I just went on Facebook and started a page called Pets of the Homeless. And I called it Pets of the Homeless Melbourne, because, I'm not going to be that ambitious. Now it's called Australia. Although we are not exactly national yet, but we do help in other states. We started with Pets of the Homeless Melbourne. And then the next thing was I had to obviously invite people to like the page, because I thought, what's the point of starting something if I'm not being held accountable? So I thought I'll start inviting people to like the page, because once they're on there, I have to do something, because you can't just start a page without anything. So I started the page, invited a bunch of family and friends to like it, bought some food online, went out on the streets the same week, and never looked back. So I went out on the streets every single weekend, dragging my suitcase around, because pet food is heavy. So I would, walk around the city, talk to different people. That's how it started in 2015.
Wow. And I'm assuming, how does it work logistically now these days? Because like I said, we saw that warehouse. We saw how much is involved now.
Yeah.
Is it a case of we're still taking it out around in suitcases? Have we got vans? Have we got collection points? How's it work logistically now?
Okay, so I guess it's a long story if you wanted to hear it. So I started by walking down the streets every week. Obviously there's limitations to what you can do. You can't see as many people and you can't help as much, but that was the starting point. And sorry, can you hear that? It's the rain. No, you can't hear it. Okay, good, because it's very loud. So then the next step was, I wanted to partner with other organizations who are already out there helping the people. So not necessarily the pets, but the people. So places like soup kitchens and food pantries, where people are already going to get food for themselves. And that's a way we could tap into that. People are already there. Instead of me actively looking for someone, people are already going to these places looking for assistance. So I started distributing pet food to other organizations. Started with one, then went to another one. And then, so now we've grew to about 50 organizations that we work with. And we call them our community partner organizations. So every week we would pack the food and then we would deliver it to them. And then the people who are there to access food for themselves can also get something for their pets.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah. Do I continue? Because it's a long story. So that is how we started with pet food. And then obviously, as we know, pets do need a lot of other things other than just pet food. So then we start looking into at the start, it wasn't an official charity. It was just someone wanting to make a difference. I was just going out in the streets doing what I can. But I could see the support from the community. So like I said, the Facebook page, every week when I go out, I will take photos with the consent of the people, of course. And I'll post it on Facebook and tell them, what I did that week. And the support just came rolling in. So people wanted to donate money, donate items. But I said to them, at that start, when we were not a charity, I would only accept donations of items. But people wanted to give me money. So then I thought, okay, maybe this could, be something. And so I went to the charity. From there we started fundraising. Yeah, so with funds, we were able to actually do more and help with vet care as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's huge. And
Yeah.
do you
So
have a
the-
team around you, or is it
Uh,
just volunteers?
No, now I do. It was a hard slog for the first few years, but we're lucky. I've got volunteers to help, but now we're at a point where I have 2 staff and a team of volunteers, which is amazing. So we grew it to a point where it's the main thing for me is always to be sustainable, and to grow it to a point where I mean, I see a lot of people say, oh, with small charities, why do you pay? They have an issue with us using funds to pay staff. But I said, every charity needs to grow to a stage where it becomes sustainable, and we need to be there 24, well, not 24/7, or at least 9 to 5 every single day for people when they need help. Volunteers are great, but they have their own life, they have their own work as well. So it's very ad hoc when we work with volunteers. But with the staff, we can keep our doors open 6 days a week. So now, yeah, we're open 6 days a week. People can reach us, during business hours. Anytime they want, basically. After business hours, we still do the work, but at least, yeah, we want to say we're there for people when they need us.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that the money that comes in, that making it sustainable is so important, because something we see so often, like not necessarily with charities on the same level, but in the rescue world, we see so much burnout, and good intentions are fantastic, but if the people with those intentions and doing the work burn out,
Yes.
then it can fizzle away and it can go and it can become nothing. And the money is important. It does make it like you said, a dedicated team of people to actually make sure that this becomes a reality that is dependable.
Yes.
And that dependability is something so important to these people. It just knowing that you're there would provide so much comfort, and it is so much more support than just the food. We saw the coats, we saw the vet care. There's so much more.
Yeah, and the most important thing that we do is actually taking on the pets themselves when their owner needs to go to the hospital, for example. So we offer emergency boarding and foster caring. So that was the other thing that we moved on from after, we have food, then we have vet care. And I used to do all of this out of my house. So, it came to a point where, I just couldn't, every single room is filled with pet food. I even have a photo of, I was fostering 2 kittens at one stage, and they were sleeping on top of piles of food as their bed because there was just so much food. So then I thought, logistically, it wouldn't work for me to keep going on this way. So I put a stop to the pet food program back in, I think, 2017. I said, we need to fundraise and make sure we can move into a warehouse, then we can just go bang 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 from there, but instead of just keep chugging along and doing this, it's not gonna help me grow. It's not gonna help the organization grow. So so sometimes, yes, you do have to pull back a bit in order to actually scale up. So I pulled back on the pet food side of things, and then we focused on vet care. And then at the same time, I put together a plan in place for emergency boarding, because a lot of people, the main issue is people entering crisis accommodations. They are forced to give up their pet because places don't take their pets. So it's not that they want to give up their pet, but they just don't have a choice. It's either roof over your head or you give up your pet. And that's why you see a lot of people, they choose to sleep in their cars, they choose to sleep on the streets. It's because they don't want to give up their pet. And it's not an easy decision to make. I mean, as pet owners, I'm sure you guys would understand, that's not a decision that I could make either, to either have roof over my head or to give up my pets. To be honest, I would rather not give up my pets, especially when you're situation is that dire that all you have left is your pet, and that's your only constant, everything else you can't control, but your pet is with you, so you want to make sure that you keep that pet because it's your safe space and your safe that connection to people as well. So we started with helping with emergency boarding. Then unfortunately that becomes very expensive because it costs about $30 to $40 a day to put them in a kennel. So then I worked to map out a foster program so we can place the animals in homes, in loving homes, temporarily from 3 months to 6 months, until just gives people time to get back on their feet. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we're at. So we've got the foster program in place already for the last 2-3 years, and we have taken in over, I can't remember now, but hundreds of pets, and that has allowed them, and they stay long term. A lot of them, they do stay over 3 months. There's one, the longest one was 19 months. So it was 19 months because COVID didn't make things easier. It was harder for people to find accommodation. But so we work with individuals like on a case by case basis, because if we can see if there is a light at the end of the tunnel for them, we will hang on to the pets until they can be reunited. But unfortunately, some people are just in a situation where, they know it's going to be hard for them. It's going to be hard for the pets. It's not going to change anytime soon. Then unfortunately, they would make the option to surrender, but it's very rare. So most of the time, about 95-96% of the time, we reunite people with their pets. And so that's something that we're really proud of.
Oh, that's lovely. And I was going to ask that question about COVID because you're in Melbourne, obviously, in your 6th lockdown, I think you said before.
Yeah.
How have you coped with that with COVID? Because I'm sure there would have been an increase of people becoming homeless and having pets.
Yeah, so it's good and bad at the same time, because obviously the government had to put in a response measure for people who are sleeping rough on the streets during the height of COVID. They were put in hotels. So some of them will allow pets and some don't. So then they would work with us to look after the animal side of things. So they would place people in the hotels and we would take on the pets so that people can access accommodation. But a lot of them were offered a temporary accommodation just so they're not on the street, so that COVID doesn't spread as fast. But that's temporary. So now, people after that, they're back on the streets again. So it's not really a long-term solution, but yeah, there is sort of a respite during last year. Now, to be honest, I'm not too sure because, we didn't expect it to drag on for this long. But they have come up with something where they're trying their best to put people into permanent accommodation, because the hotel situation, that's just a band-aid. So that didn't really help, but it's a quick fix. And, we're glad that it was there because people are able to get themselves somewhere safe during COVID. But yeah, and the other thing we notice is also every time there's a lockdown, and especially now when we're at the 6th lockdown, people's mental health are actually suffering. So people who are not necessarily experiencing homelessness, but their mental health is just deteriorating and they need to seek support. So they're entering into mental health facilities, and there's nowhere for their pets to go. So we support them with that as well. So we take on the pets while they get the treatment, and then we'll reunite them.
How did that even come around? Because that seems like a bit of a jump from where the people that you were supporting to the people that you're currently supporting. That's a big jump, and potentially a big jump in the future if that was to continue. There's a lot of unknowns, isn't there, when lockdown ends, as to what the future holds. And again, like, this is where you're going to need I'm really glad that we're just making this people aware of this, because you're going to need some support.
Yeah, because the thing is, the name, to be honest, I don't really like our name, because we don't call, as an organization, we don't call the people that we're supporting homeless people. So we always make sure we address them in the right way that gives them dignity back. So we always say their situation is temporary. It doesn't define who they are. So, how we address people is people experiencing homelessness. That's the first group of people that we would help. So we don't say homeless people, because then you're just putting them in a category. They're people just like us. They're just experiencing homelessness. But the name Pets of the Homeless, it's easy, because you're not going to say pets of the people experiencing homelessness. It's a mouthful. So the name is good because people know who we help and what we do. But the problem is also then people are under that perception that people that we are helping are only people who are sleeping rough and people only experiencing homelessness. But the fact is that we do help people, any people in need. So whether you're at risk of homelessness, you're experiencing homelessness, or just in any financial hardship, or just anything. So if you're in need and you need us, we will try to be there for you.
It's a really nice thing.
And you're also, you said before, you're not just Melbourne, you've kind of branched out over Australia as well.
Yes and no. So the name now is Pets of the Homeless Australia, but what we do really is in Victoria. That's the majority of our work. But we don't advertise that we are interstate, for example. But when we get inquiries from interstate, if we can help, we will help. So obviously nothing that requires us to be physically present, taking them to vet appointments, or taking them into foster care, because it's just Victoria at this stage. So if we were to help with paying for their vet bills, or paying to get the animals into a kennel, those kind of stuff, we can help, and we have helped.
Nice.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's so much. Like, you are doing an amazing job. And how many volunteers do you have? So you only have staff of 2 and your volunteers helping you. How many are there?
We have about 60 odd volunteers for the general pet food bank. So they come in every Saturday. They spend about 3 hours with us, and they would pack all the food. I can show you around again if you want, so everyone can see. Okay, I'm just gonna walk around.
And while you're walking, remind us. And again, I can't remember if you actually said this during recording, but how many people have you helped so far?
How many people is hard to actually calculate, because so we can only calculate things that like how much food have we given out, because once it hits the organization, it's up to them to distribute to the people. So if they don't give us a number, we don't know, but it will be in the thousands, because we every single month we distribute about 25 to about 30,000 meals. So about that much. So I'll just show you here. So we get donations, and we also purchase food. And they're in big bags, dog food, 15-20 kilo bags. And then what we do is we package them into bags like this.
So we've got a big old bag of dog food in front of us, and that's going to go out to the organizations like Soup Kitchen and the others, homeless organizations, right? So it's easier for them to distribute as well, because can you imagine carrying a 20-kilo bag? Obviously it's hard. And so we've got here, so we don't just give out food, we give out treats as well. We've got treats, so we make little treat bags, because all good doggies deserve treats. For anybody that isn't able to watch the video right now, what we're doing is walking around the warehouse, and we can literally see just rows and rows and rows of food and other supplies that Pets of the Homeless are stocking to be able to help pets of the homeless.
So flea and worming treatment. So anything that a dog needs or a cat needs, we have it. But I must say that we do get a lot more donations for dogs versus cats. Again, it's the perception that people we're helping are actually people who are sleeping rough. So, you know, and when you see someone that's sleeping rough, usually they will have a dog rather than a cat. But
Yeah.
we help just as many cats as we do dogs.
So how can anyone help that's listening right now? Like, how can we donate? How can we help or volunteer?
Yeah, so volunteer at the moment is difficult. We are not accepting any new volunteers other than foster carers at the warehouse, because we're quite limited to how many people we can have, you know, safely with social distancing and everything. So we don't need any volunteers for our pet food bank, but we are in need of a lot of foster carers. So if anyone, is able to, you know, open their homes and hearts to help, you know, another pet in need, we need more people who can take on big dogs, because that's I think a lot of people, not just us, are finding that difficult. A lot of people want to, you know, foster the small cute ones, but or the big ones, no one really, you know, want to foster them, unfortunately. Also cats, we have a lot of cats, and as you know, when you have one cat, you will have another cat and another cat. So you never just stop with one cat. So sometimes we will have cases where someone, you know, has 5 cats that we have to support. So, and we have to split them up into different homes. So that takes up a lot of foster carers already. So so especially if you have no pets, definitely foster, because you know they can, you know, provide you with so much love and companionship, and we provide you with everything else. So we support you with the vet bill, we support you with the food, everything else that they need when they're with you. All we need is just your home and yourself to to care for them and look after them, and you know, to give their owner some time to get back on their feet, and then hopefully a reunion in the future.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that we include all of the appropriate links and everything in our show notes to be able to contact you, donate, and reach out about fostering, so that hopefully this can reach a few people and we can help with support.
And donation at the moment obviously has slowed down a lot because we're in another lockdown and people can't come into the warehouse to donate. So if you could help with a monetary donation, that is always best, because we do buy the food and we buy them in bulk. And then it helps us as well to redirect the funds to where it's needed most, because whether it's vet care that they need, or you know, when we can't place an animal into a foster home, we would still, you know, put them in a kennel, so that costs money as well. And we also started this thing, I can't remember whether it was last year or this year, so to be honest, the past couple of years it's just been a blur, but we started this thing called a farewell fund. So for people, how do I put this? So the farewell fund is for people who are about to lose their pet, and we help with the cremation costs, and also so the euthanasia costs and also the cremation costs, because you know, we don't really think about stuff like that, but it is a privilege to be able to put your animal to sleep, you know, when they need to, and sometimes cost is a barrier, and that's why, you know, animals are left to suffer. Just because I know vets would do it at no cost if it comes to that, but the thing is, people might not necessarily know that. So, you know, they think, I can't afford to go to a vet, so, you know, I won't put my animal to sleep, you know, I'll just, you know, let this go on. So we provide that so that people can actually, you know, humanely put their animal out of any suffering, you know, that they might be facing, and also then to be able to have their ashes back with you. For me personally, that's a very important thing. I have so many of them, you know, around my house, of all the animals that has been with us, and in a way I know they're not with us anymore, but just in a small way, just having their ashes back with us, it does, you know, kind of fill that void that they are back with us. And I don't know if there's something that crazy pet owners think, but you know, I'm one of those crazy pet owners, and and it just gives me a lot of comfort, you know. So to be able to help someone with that, I think, you know, it's such an honor. And I know it kind of deviates a little bit from our mission to keep people and pets together, but in a way I still see it as keeping them together.
And it really is about supporting the people experiencing a really, you know, that situation that you wouldn't wish on anybody, and helping them and their pets through that is the mission, essentially, isn't it? And any way we can do that is valid.
So if we, funds go towards that as well. So we always say donations of funds is the best way you can support a charity. I understand that people want to be able to feel good about giving something physical because they can see it's tangible, but seriously, money is the best because that charity can spend it on whatever they want and whatever is needed at that time. It's not very sexy to just click a button and put in your credit card details, but at the end of the day, it is to us it allows us to plan, allows us to go, hang on, I have these funds here, and especially for people who make a monthly donation, it allows us to plan better, so we know that the funds are there, we can use it for certain things. So if you're in the position, understanding with COVID, a lot of people have lost their jobs as well. So, if you're in the position to do so, that would help us a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Yvonne, we're going to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real privilege to get to know you a little bit and learn more about what you do. Such important work. And it's couple of times there. I don't normally well up. I'm not normally the emotional one on this podcast, and that's
usually me. I'm usually crying.
A couple of times there, that's really got me really thinking about things today. So I really, really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think, thanks for having me as well, because I think one of the things that's important is getting the word out there. When I first started the charity, a lot of people said, I think the thing that I've heard a lot at the start was, if someone can't afford to look after their pet, why do they have a pet? It was very negative. But, over the years, we have started to slowly change people's perception on things and how they, sorry, I can't talk. But how they see things in a different way, because I'm like, put yourself in the situation, because especially these past 2 years, we all know how things can quickly change. And people who have never thought of themselves as being at risk of homelessness are now, we're all at risk, we can be one paycheck away. So, it's making people understand that. So we do see a lot of people saying, I know what you do, I know your mission, and I support it because I understand how it feels. Whereas back then, there's less of that. There's less understanding. So it was more judgment from the public. But we have seen that shift, and I think that is, to me, that's more important.
I think that's a really important point. There is, in one sense, having a pet, in one sense, is a privilege, and we're so fortunate to have them in our lives, and we bring them into our lives knowing that we should be taking responsibility for them. But the people in these positions haven't chosen for this to happen to them or their pets. And I've personally have worked with some people experiencing homelessness on the behavior of their pets, and the people I've met in those positions, they certainly didn't choose for this to happen, and they deserve all the support they can get. It takes a lot of, I don't know what the word is, but to be able to ask for help when you're vulnerable isn't easy.
Yes, certainly not easy. And so when they're reaching out asking for help, so we want to be there to help. So the way I see it is, instead of just judging, if we are in the position to help, we should help. It doesn't matter what their situation is, but if they are coming to you asking for help, it takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage to do that, then yes. So, we're in the position to help. We will just do that instead of saying, you shouldn't have a pet because, you can't afford A, B, C, D.
That position is very important. That's a nice note to end on. Thank you again, Yvonne.
That's okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healthy Dog Pod. We know we did.
Thank you again to our sponsor, Field Day, for making this season of the Healthy Dog Pod possible.
And remember, folks, a healthy dog's a happy dog.
Woo!
And that was the pod. Healthy Dog Pod.